shortest speech since let me plead with the dismissed Deputy Senate President. We may still have to take one more person before. You know why? After the war, Chief Clark was the federal commissioner, and from Midwest, he went to Repeal schools in Enugu and rehabilitated the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, which was actually built when he was the Minister of Education in Eastern Region, Dr. Iban Akpabio. But he had gone down because the bullets and bombs destroyed most of the facilities. Then he went ahead to send about 9 science teachers from the Midwest to the then Benue Plateau State to go and assist them educationally. And then from there, he brought students from the North Central, that's Benue Plateau State, to come and school in the Midwestern region and parts of Enugu State, and brought many other students from the North to the Midwest. Today, many of them are prominent citizens of our country. So I was looking at the distinguished Senator Lalong, and I was wondering whether he was one of those beneficiaries. So I said I must give him an opportunity to think it was his father that was a beneficiary. But if he was a beneficiary, respect to Sir Edwin Clark, the Pan-Africanist.
Thank you very much, my dear Senate President, the leadership of the Senate, very distinguished senators, and eminent Nigerians that are here on behalf of our late father and grandfather, Chief Edwin Clark. Mr. President, when Dixon mentioned some of his contemporaries, he left out one important one. That is why I will fall within the beneficiaries. My siblings were, because he sent a lot of people from the south to Plateau State. But the most important thing was when he introduced a concept called Handshake across the Niger. As a Speaker of the House of Assembly then, Solomon Lar led us to the Niger Delta. For me, it was the first time to experience Niger Delta, to also understand Niger Delta. Before that, we were thinking that Niger Delta was a hope for agitators. But at the time we got to Niger Delta, I also had opportunity to stretch my hand to the Niger Delta. And when we came back, Plateau was not the same again. At the time of our travel, during impeachment and so on, Chief Edwin Clark spoke for us more than any other person. He was the voice of the minorities. Today, I am still also a northerner, but the voice is still there, crying. It was there crying when we lost Chief Solomon Lar, and Chief Edwin Clark took his place. Today, he is gone. On people of Plateau State, and especially the North Central Zone, will also join you in praying that may the soul of Edwin Clark rest in peace, and all his other contemporaries. I will also support the fact that something be done in his memory, not only putting his name on the national, but at least, because I used to ask, it is something should go beyond putting somebody or naming a street. Let us let the younger ones know that he did something. And the only way to do something is that let some events be done yearly in his memory. That's the only thing that our young children will know. Of Edwin Clark are the souls of all the faithful departed. Through the mercy of God, rest in peace.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, the family, members of the family of late Edwin Clark, and so on. We are having the second valedictory session for Edwin Clark. And the reason was, first was as a result of the motion that was brought by Senator Jewell. And we took that opportunity to conduct that valedictory session. But thereafter, there was a visit to officially inform the Senate about the demise of Edwin Clark, led by the leader that was led by Ambassador Dr. God knows Igali. And we thought of something. So, we had a valid session, but the members of the family, the well-wishers, and other people, Nigerians, did not witness that. And they ought to be here. And then we said, we must hold a full validity session for the late elder statesman, Edwin Clark. And that's why we're having this today. Mr. President, that said, let me extend my condolences to the family of late nationalist, a patriot, Edwin Clark, to his native Delta state, to Niger Delta region, to this Senate, a member of this Senate, and indeed the entire Nigerian people. He was a nationalist, a man who loved his region, who stood for the plight of his region. He stood for the plight of the people of the region. But that did not take away the fact that he wanted a united Nigeria. A united Nigeria. He served this country victoriously, served his state, his native, defunct Bender state, as commissioner, as said earlier before now, as federal commissioner, as a senator of the Federal Republic. He did all he could for his people. He stood for his people. Nigeria. He was a nationalist, a patriot. Forget about the fact that he was always talking about his own nation, about Niger Delta, but then, never. Whenever he spoke for the entire country. Of course, you have a household, you have to protect your household, you protect your entire community. And that's what he was doing. That is why we are all standing in disrespect to him. That others should take a cue from what he did. Protect your home, defend your home, stand for your people at home, and stand for the entire country. Nothing wrong with that. And that's how it should be done. I always stand for Kano State, Northwest, and for Nigeria. That's what he did. You can see amongst his children, others are behind Ibrahim, this and that. It's a testimony to the fact that he left a life of being in the forefront for people at home and in the entire country. We miss him, and we shall always miss him. One thing is that let us take a cue from him, and let's not forget what he has done for his people. Let what we always say to generation, so that others will learn to be patriotic, will learn to stand by, will learn to stand for Nigeria. It on this note that I pray that may God give us the fortitude, all of us, this immediate family, the people of Niger Delta, the Adjourned nation, and Nigeria, bear the laws of this elder statement. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Let me end this by letting the family know that with the avalanche today, he clearly the demise of late patriot, an icon. His sweat on earth definitely were not in vain. From the North Central, the very powerful remembrance by Senator Lalong of what I said he did when he was a federal commissioner, and even the proposition he brought forward of the handshake across the Niger that united our people on today in the minds of the people clearly shows that the efforts that he made were and could never have been in vain. I'm saying this because I understand that just yesterday, one of the presidential aspirants, Peter Obi, His Excellency and former said that the labors of our leaders who have passed on were in vain. They were not in vain. The mere fact that Nigeria is still standing together shows clearly that their labors were not in vain. Very few countries that came up with the size of Nigeria are still together today. Many have been fragmented. Edwin Clark lived through the days of USSR, and they went into they scattered into various countries, and up till now, war, trying to see whether they can come back together. Nigeria, despite our difficulties, God has kept us together because of the voices of people like Edwin Clark. So clearly, his labor and labors then. And for those in the social media who like to tweet, Nigeria has an unregulated social media system. So they let them wallow in it and then take advantage situation and propagate all sorts of falsehood and all sorts of narratives. Some of them in the social media were not even born when Edwin Clark was very active in service. And so they couldn't have known some of the things he did that we are remembering today. And yet, when somebody makes a statement that the labors of past are in vain, I beg to disagree. Let Brother Peter Obi show leadership like Edwin Clark did by resolving first the crisis in the Labour Party. For a man who wants to run Nigeria, you have one of the smallest parties in Nigeria, and you cannot even resolve the crisis in that Labour Party. Is it the crisis of Boko Haram that you will come and resolve in Nigeria? I would like us to be known for what we did when we had the opportunities. As I speak now, I can tell you about the dualized thoroughfares in my state. I can flyovers in my state. I can tell you about the best international hospital in my state. I can tell you about the monuments of government houses the governor and deputy. I'm one of the best digitalized governor's office. I can tell you about stadium in West Africa. I can tell you about the free and compulsory education that I did for all Nigerians. I can tell you about the unity I brought in religion by sponsoring over 5,800 Muslims, over 12 to 15,000 Christians to Rome and to Jerusalem. But then, those who are aspiring as presidential candidates to cause division with their mouths, using the social media, tell them to resolve the small crisis party they have in Nigeria before they come to talk about the larger Nigeria. But for the social media, it is unregulated. I wish you luck as you have a field day. I'm saying this because this is what Edwin is if he were alive. So I've started. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Note, may we rise to observe 1 minute silence in honor of this icon. Let me, before we do so, just to recognize that while we're speaking, the leader of the House of Representatives, our brother, walked in from Niger Delta region. Humber, leader, we are happy to see you, even though you are staying at the back. You should have come to the front. And of course, I didn't see him, but I've been told that right in front of us, that we have the leader of the John Nation, Professor Benjamin Okaba, who is the president of the John Nation. Okay, he's there. He's acknowledging a John National Congress worldwide, not just for Nigeria, but all over the world. And I'm happy that you are part of this delegation. But we now, all together, give 1 minute silence in honor of this departed icon. May the great soul of our Edwin Clark, who gave his all in the service of the Niger Delta people, the minorities of Nigeria, the Nigeria as a nation, rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate.
Distinguished senators, please allow the visitors to move out of the chamber.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, I rise to move restoration of Order 12 of our rules that was earlier suspended to enable with the business of the day. I so move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to comment the motion ably moved by the Senate Leader that rules to continue up the business of the day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion and seconded that the sanctity of the Senate be restored. We are through with strangers to enable us to proceed into the business of the day. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate sanctity has been.
Please take your seat, distinguished senators. Please take your seats. Sirs, please take your seats.
Keep mentioning their names.
The chamber is ready. Mr. President, the chamber is ready, please.
Let's vote the bills. Please give all senators the bill. Proceed. The Senate Leader.
Mr. President,
Leader of the Senate, call on the Senate to proceed to Committee of the Whole to continue its deliberations.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the consideration of the report of the continued consideration of the report of the Committee on Finance Reform Bills, as listed on the order paper. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was presented yesterday. Distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was presented yesterday, Tuesday, May 2025. Mr. President, I therefore move, with your permission, that the Senate do resolve the whole for further consideration. So move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I like to second the motion that the House resolve to Committee of Whole to consider clause by clause the remaining part of the tax bill. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that this August Assembly do resolve into Committee of the Whole to continue the deliberations and considerations of the finance bills, two of which are those in support that will be moved to Committee of the Whole. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, Joint Establishment Bill 2025, SB 583. Long title on page 1, an act to establish the Tax Appeal Tribunal and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria and for related matters 2025. B 583. Clauses 1 to 10. Yes, dismissed Senator Adamu Alero.
Clauses 4, Mr. Chairman. The board shall consist of, shall be the executive chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service. I think based on what it should be the executive vice chairman. This should change to executive vice chairman in line with what we approved yesterday. What we amended yesterday, yes. What was amended and approved yesterday. We move that this should be amended to read: the board shall consist of the chairman, who shall be the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service. Thank you.
Who shall be a non-executive?
No.
And
No, this joint tax board.
Okay, joint tax.
so the distinguished chairman of the finance committee, your comment.
No, I think the motion is correct. For the executive chairman to be addressed as executive vice chairman, I think it's a typographical error. When we are reading our clause, because there's no change in our clause. So from the interpretation page, you will see that the executive chairman has been changed to executive vice chairman. And this is for the joint tax board. He is to chair the joint tax board.
But what the distinguished Senator Alero is saying is that it should be properly named as that the board shall consist of the executive vice chairman, who shall be the chairman of the board.
So I can move a motion.
Move a motion to correct it, please.
Okay, I will second the motion. He has moved the motion already.
Move.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Senator Mohammed Adamu Alero, representing that Section 4A, the composition, the chairman shall be the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service.
Yes.
This should be amended to the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service. Thank you.
Any seconder?
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Oji Uzokalo. I stand to second the motion ably moved by Senator Adamu Alero. Item 4, composition 4 of the board should be chairman of the board shall be the executive vice chairman of Nigerian Revenue Services. Thank you, Mr. President.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let me commend Senator Adamu Alero for his vigilance and to say that the beauty of legislation lies in the details. If we make a then the entirety of the intentions will change. So you can have an opportunity to correct back to the judiciary. So this is very important. So now that we know that it is the management, the Joint Revenue Board, and the head of the management is the executive vice chairman. So we must avoid to do with the executive chairman. So the executive vice, who is the head of the management of the Nigerian NRS, or so Nigerian Revenue Service, chairman of the joint tax. So it goes, Clark. I hope you've noted it. Page 2, 4. The same place. So,
to consider the inclusion of Commission as among the institutions that are to be represented on the board, to be represented by no other, by an official not below the rank of a director, because Fiscal Responsibility Commission is the commission that oversees that the issues that have to do with taxation or spending, then in accordance with the principles that have been established, under its own act provided by the National Assembly. So I saw, together with the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, the National Identity Management Commission, and Controller General of Customs and others. Fiscal Responsibility Commission should also be considered as part of the institution that should be represented, in the board of the Joint Tax Board. Because taxation is a very serious fiscal matter. And I think the commission should.
Dismissed Senator Dan Kwambo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to comment in respect of what Senator Yaya said. The Fiscal Responsibility Commission is a regulatory agency. It's an oversight of this. So if they are members of the board, they cannot regulate themselves. That's the reason for their exemption. But my point is B2, 4B, chairman of each state. In some states, they have chairman and executive and deputy, like the arrangement we have at the national. And in some states, they have executive chairman. So I think we should be very clear, because they can bring a chairman who is non-executive. No? We put an executive chairman or equivalent.
No, not the executive chairman. Why don't we say the head? The head of of the state revenue.
In the definition. Without interpretation.
No, but we don't want to put chairman here now. We don't want to put chairman here to avoid confusion.
Okay. Because if they go to the interpretation
comes in when there is confusion. Inside the law, let us put what is correct. We are saying, let us say the head of National Revenue Collection Service at the state level shall be a member. Is that not what we are saying?
What you have said, SP, it's almost perfect. But I think it will be more elegant if we say the chief executive officer. Yes.
The chief executive of the
chief executive
officer of the state revenue. You are amending the motion to say the chief executive officer. So, Senator Dan Kwambo, you are saying we should reject the inclusion of fiscal responsibility into the board because they are regulated. It's not there, but I'm saying no. Senator Yaya was suggesting that we should include, but Senator know that they and that being a regulatory agency, they cannot be part of the board because that would mean regulating themselves. Agree with that? Okay, so that your suggestion is noted but rejected. Then now the other one is that we should put the chief executive of the state revenue service instead of saying chairman. Because I want us to avoid this chairman, so we don't confuse the chairmanship, and then tomorrow we start running to court. Those in support that the chief executive officer of the state revenue service and not the word chairman are proposed and second. They say aye. Those again say nay. The aye. Yes. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in support of clauses 11 to 20 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. It's 21 to 30. Yes. Distinguished Senator Binujaro.
President Dino Siaro, Adamawa South. Clause 25C. We are bringing in the interpretation of organized private sector in the body of the bill itself. I think it will be more elegant if we move that that is the interpretation, to the interpretation clause, section 60.
Yes, any comment from the chairman of finance?
I agree with it's already in the interpretation clause as well. So, but there wouldn't have been need.
It shouldn't be there.
So, it's already there. So,
distinguished colleagues, the distinguished Senator Yaro is upheld. This should be moved to the interpretation clause and not in the body of the law. The chair notes. Finance chair notes. Clauses 31. Those in support say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 41 to 50. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 51 to 59. Yes, clause 59.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Munguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, our laws, particularly the Constitution, frowns at making retroactive because they are synonymous with military dictatorships, which is attendant draconian and obnoxious laws. This clause of provision is retroactive in nature. It purports to bring into fruition actions that were taken even before the commencement of this bill into law. And at this type of legislations because in violation of the provisions of our constitution, which is the ground of the land. And our courts for proud piece of. So I pray that that law should be expunged for being retroactive and retrospective.
Yes, the senior advocate of Nigeria, Chairman Judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to state that, with respect, what the Chief Whip has said is not correct. If we look at Section 59, there are savings and transitional provisions. The actions that are taken by the IFRS today, those actions must have legal back. What this is saying is that those actions will be assumed to be actions of the new body. So that, for example, if you are suing the FRS, is no longer existent, who are you going to sue? There must be something that says this person you can sue. These actions are the background, and that's what it is. And it is the same thing where you repeal an act, and there is a body in establishing that act. In order to save the actions of that body, you have transitional provisions, and that is what this is. So it's not the same thing as when you have retroactive provisions. Thank you.
So it is not retroactive. It is just to preserve. It's transitional. Yes, Senator Ningi.
The chief whip is also a member of this committee, the finance committee, and therefore meant to the floor at our retreat. Argument that the SAN actually quoted actually prevailed. It's a transitional rule. There's nothing like draconian. But I understand where it's coming from. This has nothing to do with draconian. This thing is to making sure that all the corners are actually tight, so that there will be no room for manipulation. The chief brought this matter, and it went through a lot of discussion.
Yes,
and probably he wanted to.
Don't overemphasize, because the gallery people are watching.
I thought he wanted to use his chief whip position.
So we give the chief whip the opportunity to withdraw his earlier objection. Chief whip.
I fully concur with the provision of the Lana Silk and my senior Senator Abdul Ningi, and I beg to withdraw.
Your earlier observation is withdrawn.
Yes.
Observation
Yes.
Observation noted
With no cost.
and rejected at no cost. The interpretation clause 60 should form part of this bill. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an observation, sir, in respect of interpretation clause. While we are considering section 25, following Senator Binuzaro's observation, we deleted subsection 2. And the chairman did inform the House at that time that in the interpretation clause, I have gone through, it is not there. So I want to suggest, sir, that we now put it there. Organized private sector.
What Senator Reverting Ali is saying, that what we move from the interpretation, that one should be now be included in the interpretation clause.
Yes, sir.
So your observation is noted and upheld.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, it's moved. It's moved. Automatically it was moved. Yes, Senator Dankwambo.
I have observation on, take you back. When we have a tenured appointment for 4 years to be renewed by another 4 years, can we now say 60 years again? Restrict the appointment to 60 years. So, because 32, you said the appointment, we said the appointment is for the first 4 years and can be renewed by another 4 years. Then we said, when you attain the age of 60.
That one is constitutional.
For civil servants.
Earlier.
No, for civil servants, that's when 60 comes in, sir.
Huh? Okay,
yes.
The civil servants.
Yes, so we delete one of them.
So, in other words, what you are asking is, if somebody is appointed at 59 and he does 4 years and he attends 63, should he be reappointed for another 4 years?
You can even be appointed at 70, sir.
Of page
32 on page 20. It is in the beginning. But the areas is that the secretary shall, page 20. The secretary shall hold office for a term of 4 years and may be renewed for another further term of 4 years and no more, or until he reaches the age of 60 years. Which means that he can be appointed and reappointed, but if he reaches 60 years, even if he's 60 years, he's a civil servant, so his term will expire even if he has not completed the 4-year period for which he was appointed.
Once he reaches 60.
That's why it said, until, you know. He must be a civil servant. That's why he's secretary.
Normal civil service thing.
Normal civil service procedure.
Because he's a civil.
Yes, from the explanation of the clerk, this provision presupposes that you were appointed before 60 years. But where you get to 60 years, there cannot be a further appointment. Huh?
Mr. Chairman, I think, except if we can qualify it to be that a civil servant will occupy the seat. You can take someone from outside who is not a civil servant. He can stay more than 60 years. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need the chairman of the committee. Must it be that this must be a civil servant? Can't we take, can't we take someone from the World Bank, from IMF, from anywhere, who's an expert, who has done very well somewhere? Can't you bring him on board to be the secretary? And why should that actually maybe attribute a such person? I call it appointment. I don't know. Because you want the best brain.
Huh? The dismissed Senator Adams Oshimole.
Mr. President, sir, thank you very, very much. I do not think the criteria for appointment to someone being in the civil service. I feel with other rules we have made, the emphasis should be on the competence. And you do not want to run everything. We must create a society where people can migrate from the private sector to the public sector, and vice versa. What is important is not even whether you work for IMF or World Bank. There are no special qualifications required. Is the person competent? What qualifications are we looking for? If those are stated in the law, the appointing authority can decide whether to find the person from the civil service or to find the person from the private sector. Your Excellency, when I was governor, I found that sometimes there are jobs that are better done by people who have spent all their lives in the private sector. If I find them to be of value, I had the pleasure of appointing them. But if I am limited to civil service or civil servants, that is creating yet another dichotomy. After balancing federal character, then you balance private public sector character. Lastly, Mr. President, in all the laws that we make most of the time, ministries are represented at various levels in various boards. Invariably, the minister will nominate and who must be in his ministry. So already you will have civil servant content. I do not think that we should use the sector as a criteria for appointment of a. Mr. President, thank you very much. On the issue of age, sir, with all due respect to my colleagues, in the world we live in now, in the world we live in that is knowledge-driven, a digital world, to talk about age as a factor
as a factor, I think it will be completely unrealistic. I do not appear to be informed by today's realities. There are things younger people can even do better. Again, in all of one thing we should emphasize, the competence of the person. And competence is not informed by age. Sometimes the borderline between age and senility is in the details. So I think we should allow the appointing authority the free hand to look for who we think is a fit and proper person to occupy a position. Too much restriction is helpful to give it the executive power to do what needs to be done. Thank you, sir.
Clarification. Go ahead.
Without prejudice to the experience, distinguished Senator Adams Oshimole,
Senator Sani Musa, this is all about you, please, because we want you to take the input from your colleagues.
I want to refer you to
listen to them, please.
To page 8. Yes. When you go to page 8, you will find the management of staff and staff of the board, where you have an overall chief executive and accounting officer, who is called the executive secretary of the board itself. Now, what we are talking here, under section page 19 and 20, we are talking about the staff of the tribunals. The tribunals are established for those and also of the main tribunal itself. Therefore, they are normally drawn from of the board itself. Exactly. That they are civil servants who are now mandated to work on as coordinating secretaries of the tribunals that are established to take care of each level zones. Therefore, they are civil servants who are already on desk. Now, if they appointed as secretaries of zones, when they reach the age of 60, a civil servant, they will have to retire. That is what this issue is talking about. The tribunals, these are not independent entities. They are entities that are established from within the larger system, which are covered under the staff of the board of the institutions itself. Therefore, they are already there. They are posted to serve as secretaries of the as coordinating secretaries and secretaries of the tribunals. They are not supposed to be, and tribunals are not supposed to be independent institutions like that. They operate as adjuncts, to the main board itself.
Mr. Chairman, as an example, Mr. Chairman, with your grace, as an example, this is a National Assembly, and we have clerks of committees. The assumption that is being made by my dear Edwin Clark is that no, because there is a competent person outside the National Assembly, he can now be a clerk of the appropriation committee. The issue is, the secretary is not a secretary of the Joint Tax Board. The secretary is a secretary of a tribunal that operates within the civil service structure, like registers of court. And once you open for everybody, what are you saying? What are you suggesting? You are demoralizing everybody, and these are people that are there, competent, and they are doing the job and know the job. And lastly, sir, Senator Adams also a member of this committee. He has canvassed that argument, and he was thoroughly. So this secretary is a civil servant. You can now qualify him as a civil servant. He's a secretary of tribunal. Put the question.
Thank you, Mr. President, sitting as chair. Mr. President, I want to concur with Senator Yahya Abdullahi that where the omission here is that if you are a civil servant and you are secretary of the tribunal, you have option of a 4-year of 2 term. If, as at that time, you still have opportunity to continue in service, you will go back to the service where another person will be appointed. So that is what this particular section of the law is trying to say. They must be appointed within the civil service. Within the civil service. And you are entitled to spend 2 terms of 4 years each. And after your expiration of your term, you go back to the service if you have the opportunity of continuing. But if serving as secretary of the board, your time as a civil servant now expired, then you retire, then you go, and another person will be appointed from the service for that particular position. Huh? Thank you.
That is it. 4 years and they can renew it.
Yes, that's the position. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think there is just a little bit of disconnect here. That section with respect to administrative staff, and I'll give a simple example. When you have election tribunals, you appoint judges. However, the people that sit at the desk are actually judicial officers who are civil servants. They come and go. It is the same thing here. What you have here is a secretary, an administrative staff of the tribunal who is a civil servant. And if you don't legislate in such a way that he is also called by civil servant, then you'll be offending another provision. And like I said at the hearing, we as senators cannot make laws to circumvent another law. The law says, for example, civil service says 35 years or so. To look at this, it says whichever is earlier, it qualifies it, whichever is earlier. So what we are discussing here are actually administrative staff simpliciter, and in order to fall within civil service rules is why that provision has been there. Absolutely correct. Thank you.
Well, in view of the fact that we're even arguing about it, is there no way we can redraft it to avoid ambiguity? Huh? Senator Dankwambo, you are still raising your hand.
You see, either of the two, sir. Either we remove the tenure to make it an appointed position, or we leave it into the civil to comply with the civil service rule. No, I was a career civil servant, so I know this. You have appointed me to grade level 17 to serve for 4 years, or to do another 4 years until I reach the age of 60. No. Judges, after all, that you are talking about, reach up to the age of 70. I don't know civil service 60. They retire at 70. At some category at 65. So we should make it very clear in such a way that there will not be any problem.
Okay, so propose the clarity.
One, sir. If it's a civil service appointment, we remove the tenure.
No, propose that the executive secretary shall be a staff of the commission who shall be appointed for 4 years, renewable 4 years, but within the age bracket of 60.
No, sir, that's not what I mean.
To bring clarity, to the issue. Under section 32, subsection 3, we shall say the secretary who shall be as the coordinating secretary who shall be a staff board under section 10. We will look at section 10. A civil servant appointed under section 10 of the now we can say that shall hold office for a term of 4 years.
For me, I'm more comfortable with that.
Yes, it's more comfortable.
Do you understand?
Yes, what we are saying is just a question of clarity, so that we know where the secretary is coming from. Now, when you take section 10 of the act, that is where the management of staff of the board. Yeah. So the state, the secretary who shall be the board and a civil servant or a staff of the board under section 10 of this act.
Sir, it's very clear now. It's very saying it's very clear. No.
Why is it executive secretary, sir?
No.
Why?
No, what we are
defining
saying.
it now.
Huh?
We're defining it on in our own way.
No,
The
we
crafters.
we are the lawmakers. But then the that is to interpret. If you make the mistake and not make it clear that the person should be a civil servant or a staff of the commission, and then you are now talking about 10 or 4 years and 4 years, they can bring somebody from outside.
What
So
I'm
you are trying to forestall the idea of bringing somebody from outside. That's why the person should be the executive secretary should be appointed in accordance with Section 10. It should be it's for civil servants. Yes, that chairman, Senator Plank is saying why not secretary instead of executive secretary?
He's not executive secretary, he's a coordinating.
Sir, I have the word.
They put the executive secretary.
If it is executive, it's appointive. It should be.
Come,
Sir, it's written executive secretary, sir.
section. Yes, Chairman Judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. President. My dear colleagues, I think we can just do a slight amendment to take care of this. And my proposal or my motion is that we amend section 1, and it will now read my proposal: the minister shall appoint secretary for the tribunal, who shall be a member of staff of the board and shall be responsible for then all of his duties follow. So what you have is tribunal and who shall be a member of staff of the board and shall be responsible for. So that takes care of it. It shows that he's a civil servant, and then we don't controversy. No, I said the minister shall appoint a coordinating secretary for the tribe who shall be a staff of the board. Oh, you want to change to the board? Okay, whatever, but we now to qualify to be sure that it's a staff member, we just who shall be a staff of the board. That is my proposed.
Your suggestion is that we should say the coordinating admin secretary
shall be a member of staff
listen to
of
the
the
word
board.
No, the coordinating
secretary.
No, the coordinating admin
secretary who shall be staff of the board.
Come, listen to what he said. No, we are going to we are going to conference. So what you are saying is that we should put it there. Just move the motion.
Thank you, sir. I'm saying that we should amend subsection 1 of section 32 to read that the board shall appoint a coordinating administrator for the tribunal who shall be a member of staff of the board and shall be responsible for keeping records of proceedings of the tribunal, duties and obligations follow.
What you are saying is clearer now.
Yes, sir.
That the board shall appoint a coordinating
administrative secretary,
main secretary.
Yes, sir.
Who shall be a member of the
staff
commission.
Of the board.
Who shall be a serving.
Who shall be a member of staff of the board.
Who shall be a member of staff of the board. That clears it.
Sir, amendment.
That clears it.
Amendment.
He's saying that to avoid somebody being brought from outside.
Amendment. Okay, sir. Let me talk. I want to amend.
He's not the one in charge of tribunal, coordinating tribunal secretaries. That's why he's saying. That's why the SN should be that there shall be a coordinating admin secretary.
Admin, stand up and son, your excellent distinguished son, sir. Why not admin secretary? Why coordinating secretary? Coordinating admin secretary. The act of administration is coordination. Why not admin secretary? The admin secretary is better, sir. Remove the coordinating admin.
No, because the other
no, sir, the job.
You are coordinating on
no, sir, the job of administrative job is coordination. You are repeating the same thing. Secretary.
What gives you privilege over us in terms of nomenclature?
No, sir. The job is. Amendment. No. Sir, little amendment, sir.
Plank, have your say.
I wish to amend that it should be admin secretary, not coordinating admin secretary. The act of administration is coordinating admin secretary's petition. Admin secretary. And the job of administration is coordination. Coordinating admin secretary. Should admin secretary. Okay, have you agreed? So you've not given me time now. No admin secretary, no coordinating. Okay, sir.
Administration is coordinating.
I want to amend.
So, noted the issue to an end. Chairman, make your final correction. And don't note that we are not supposed to be debating at this stage. We are supposed to be looking at clause by clause consideration. So, but we have turned it into a debate. So please, let's be guided.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my motion or amendment, my amendment is that 32, section 1 should read, the minister shall appoint a coordinating secretary for the tribunal to be a staff of the board. Then A, responsible for the tribunal, and the I so moved, sir.
Any seconder? Yes. Distinguished Senator Ani.
There's a place I will show you. The staff of the board.
Mr. President, colleagues, Senator Professor Anthony Ani, I represent Ebonyi South. I rise to support the amendment proposed by the Secretary Sani Musa. I so second.
Well, distinguished colleagues, the amendment by Senator Musa. Huh?
Mr. Chairman, instead of mentioning the minister, it should be the board, because it is absolutely the responsibility of the board.
I thought so, because I was wondering why minister.
Yes, the board. It's the board that should. Yes.
I think
that's
so.
The only amendment, but the
must it be minister?
Yeah, it should be the board.
It should be the board.
Yes.
It should be the joint task board. Why should it be minister? No, don't go and whisper. Because there's a reason. You can go and give that power to the minister. You want to influence the judgments? It should be the board. The joint task board should be a coordinating secretary. Part of those that remove the board and put minister, say so.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Joel Honorable Thomas. I represent the Good People Delta South Neutral District. And as one who has served as the chairman of the Board of Internal Revenue, and served in the Joint Tax Board, and served as a member of the Appeal Tribunal, I want to say something about this. First, the idea that the minister should appoint inside the board is not the right way to go. It's not the right way to go. The board and the people, including the other persons who are going to form part of that board, members of the civil service process. Then when you now take somebody from within again and put him, then the cycle is complete. In audit, we say teaming and leading. Then you have completed it. But if you bring somebody from outside to sit in that place, then you know that it can never be the same. So this idea about let it be civil servant and rest of them, for me, I feel that for us to have a holistic approach, because the law itself is down, and the processes will bring about a lot of. We don't want those who kill the ram at the same time divide it. No, you see, the person should be appointed independently. It should be appointed independently. It should be in the hands of politicians like you.
Dismissed Senator Sani Musa had proposed an amendment. Is there anybody that seconded it? Okay, those in support proposed by the finance chairman say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we move on. Interpretation clause, what as amended? Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Short title, clause 61. Those in support that should form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules 1 to 3 form part of the bill. To support say aye.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir. Chairman, please.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have on appeal to the Federal High Court, and in the body, any person dissatisfied with the decision under this bill may appeal against such decision on a point of law to the High Court, not Federal. I believe that the intendment is Federal High Court, not High Court. We have Federal High Court, we have High Courts.
It depends on. For instance, Federal High Court and the FCT High Court, they have almost same jurisdiction. So if it's in respect,
Mr. President, on tax matters,
if it's in respect of tax
on
matters,
tax matters is Federal High Court. It started as Federal Revenue Court, and on tax matters is Federal High Court. And there is no state in Nigeria where you don't have a Federal High Court established as at today. And in paragraph 10, appeal to the Federal High Court. It's only in the body that they inserted High Court. So it's like they mistake Federal High Court for High Court. And they repeated that on page 49. So I think it's Federal High Court, Mr. Chairman.
It should be Federal High Court. Federal High Court, the revenue.
okay. Seconded. Okay, these young girls, those in should go to Federal High Court and not just any High Court. Say aye. Yeah. The ayes have it. So, the Chairman, correct everything to read Federal High Court. So those in support of schedules 1 to 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So, Leader of the Senate, we invite to plenary to report progress.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the Senate now refers to plenary to enable the chairman to report progress. I so.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion as moved by Senate Leader. I so second.
Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. To report progress.
Senator Ningi, take your seat.
Already. Okay, so we take it.
No observation, no nothing.
Nothing. Clause by distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the committee of the whole considered finance on the Establishment Bill 2025 and approved and now to establish the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal, and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the humanization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria, related matters, long title as recommended. Those against it. Clauses 1 to 3 as recommended. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clause 4 as amended. Clause 5 to 31 amended. Clause 32 as amended. Clause 33 to 59 as recommended. Clause 6 amended. Clause short title as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Yes, Senate Leader, you may move a motion for this particular bill to be read a third time.
Thank you, Mr. President, and very distinguished colleagues, and I want to thank you once again for your comments. I am rise to be now read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I write to second the motion moved by Senate Leader that this.
Use your mic. Go on.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I write to second the motion moved that this bill be read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support that this bill be now read a third time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act the Joint the Tax Appeal Tribunal and the Office of the Tax Ombud for the harmonization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria and matters. Third reading.
This bill for an act to establish the Joint Revenue Board, Tax Appeal Tribunal, and Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization, coordination, and disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria and for related 2020. Third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal, and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman, organization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria and for related matters, third and passed. I thank all of us for the contributions, but painstakingly. But it's better that we do a good job that will last the test of time. And I thank the chairman and members of the committee for a job well done. And I plead with my colleagues that despite the time, we should spend a few more minutes to pass tax bill to enable us come back with comprehensive votes and proceedings sitting. So anything that must you see bring it up at the point of approving the votes and proceedings. And even at that, if you don't bring it up at that time, you have the Conference Committee we've already set up to work with the House of Representatives. So the Senate leader, you may wish to move that we go back to the Committee of the Whole to complete the work of this tax bill.
I'm well guided, Mr. President. I so move.
Mr. Minority Leader.
President, distinguished colleagues, I write the motion that the Committee of the Whole to consider the clause by clause of the last bill on the tax. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been resolved into the Committee of the Whole to conclude on the last tax bill. That we move into Committee of the Whole. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, to repeal certain acts of taxation. Distinguished colleagues, an act to repeal certain acts and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation and in tax act provide for taxation of income, and instruments and for related matters SB 586. Clause consideration. One, the reform part of the bill. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 to 10. Those in support say aye. Those against, the ayes have it. Clauses 11. Those in support say aye. Say nay. The ayes have it. Clause to 30. 31. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 31. Support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Is 41 to 60. Those in support say aye. Say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 61 to 80. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 81 to 100. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 101 to 120. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 121 to those in support say aye. Yes. Corrected it. Yes, we're giving them possibility. Yes. So your observation is noted and corrected. Clause 41. Those in aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 161 to 180. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 181 to 2. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 201 to 204 and 4. Yes, 204. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Interpretation clause 205. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. In clause 206. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules 1 to 113. Schedule 113 actually. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, to move that the Senate reverts to plenary to enable the chairman report progress.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I write that there has far back to plenary for the chair to report progress.
Colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that will revert to plenary for the chair to report progress say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Well, we'll tell him. Well,
The Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the committees on Nigerian Tax Bill 2025, specifically an act to establish the Tax Appeal Tribunal and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization, coordination, and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration and for related matters, SB 583, and approved title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 2 amended. Interpretation clause 205 as recommended. To 206 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 113 as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the bill be now read the third. I so move.
The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, motion that this bill be read the third time. I so second.
The motion has been moved and seconded at that time. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Clerk of the Senate.
Distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation and enact the Nigerian tax bill to provide for taxation of income transactions and for related matters 2025 third.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal framework relating to taxation and enact the taxation of income transactions and instruments and related matters 2025 third reading taken. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate relating to taxation and enact the Nigeria tax bill to provide for taxation of income, transactions, and instruments, and for related matters 2025, third reading taken and passed. Let me once again thank my colleagues and say that yes, indeed, it has been a very rewarding week for the interest of this nation. And thank the chairman of the committee, Senator Sani Musa, members and consultants, members of the entire Senate for meticulously looking at the clauses one by one and finally arriving at this historic of the tax regimes in Nigeria. I congratulate for to do for the benefit of this country and pray that the tax laws that we have enacted today, when signed, will bring more revenue to the nation, will bring justice to all, and will enable us to have more development and leave a good legacy on taxation for the future generation of Nigerians. I thank you all. Now,
Where is this guy?
distinguished colleagues, I want to reiterate the Conference Committee on Harmonization of the Tax Reform Bills as passed differently by the House of Representatives. If you notice, what we passed here had slight differences with what the House of Representatives did, because here we actually were very meticulous in ensuring that we did some more clarity in provisions. So I believe that the conference committee will take it from there and look at what the Senate has done and also look at what the House has done. If anybody still has any part of the bill, of the 4 bills that were passed, of taking the votes and proceedings on Tuesday, please feel free to bring it up and we can see make amendment. And at the point of the harmonization, when this committee, feel free to make your input, and of course it will still be considered. And at the end, let us leave these 4 bills for Mr. President to sign, which will not only Nigeria, will bring more money to Nigeria and development, and then leave the bills as legacies for future generations, where government only for a period, others will come after us. But some of these bills were on taxation were very old. Some of them dating back to 1939, some 1901 and all that. So this is Nigeria is now going to have its modernized tax acts, which will now bring us in close competition with what is obtainable in global community. So I thank all of you for your sacrifices. Yesterday you left here almost 6 p.m. You are leaving here by 5 p.m. Despite the had to do today. So I thank you for your sacrifices. So Senator Abdullahi Yahya Abubakar will be the chairman of the conference committee, and Senator Abubakar Abdulaziz Yari will be a member. Senator Musa Mohammed Sani 313 will be a member. The Senator Abba Patrick Omoro will be a member. The Senator Abaribe Yenaya Harcourt will be a member. Senator Onyebuchi Francis Onyebuchi, yes, Ezenwa Francis will be a member. Senator Detokumbo Abiru Mukhai will be a member. Senator Daniel Olubenga Justus will be a member. Senator Joel Onawakbo Thomas will be a member. Senator Asukwa Ekpeyan will be a member. Senator Mongunu Tahir, our chief whip, will also be there to guide. The Senator Jimmy Kuta will be there to add the voice of the new generation. Senator Olami Lekon, Adiola Solomon will be there to look at the appropriation side of the bills. The distinguished Senator Adam Zoshimole will look after the interests of labor in that conference. You will have to look at the interests of labor in these tax bills as we go into the conference committees. And then we also have the civil senator, Babangida Owa, who worked either as permanent secretary work about. From the civil service point of view, you have completed your tenure, and it's time for you to look at these tax bills to know whether indeed really implement them. So you also conference committee bring the two. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I guess what is left Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, what is left on my part really is to most respectfully thank our colleagues for the wonderful job they have done. Mr. President, it might appear to be to say that we are praising ourselves, but I want to place on record those who continue to criticize us unnecessarily. I use the word unnecessarily because in a democracy it is normal for those who have sought politics and were elected into office to be criticized. We are not opposed to that. But when people falsify things about us, when people deliberately try to call us out as people who do not know tourism. And Mr. President, the tax reform bills we have just passed is a glowing example of how we work beyond of duty. It is almost 7 p.m. now. In the last remain focused on trying to do these tax reforms. Let it be noted again that these bills were first presented to us in November of 2024, and we had our first reading November 2024. Second reading. I assure the Nigerian public that having done the second reading, we are going to commit these bills to public hearing. Relevant stakeholders to ensure to the public. Mr. President, we had the first and second reading in November. I want to emphasize that between our second reading of this bill and today, we had different engagements with different stakeholders, ranging from the executive arm of government and people in charge of the Presidential Task Force to members of civil society and professional organizations, some of whom took part in our public hearing. There have been series of meetings, there have been series of engagement. Even as a Senate, we set up our own committee, seasoned senators who had engaged in various aspects of public life. Some had served as governors, some served as permanent secretaries, and different from to even be ourselves. Let it also be said that we chose not to grandstand on this. And the fact that in rounding up yesterday, we spent more than half of the day, a closed-door session. Why are we doing all of this? It is because we recognize that the times for our people, the times are unusual for our country and for the global economy. And we chose to remind ourselves constantly that this is not the time to stand. time that as a parliament, we must do everything possible to cooperate with other arms of government in overriding to ensure that we are able to give the impetus and the legal framework governance in this. People should not mistake our an intentional decision not to grandstand for being a rubber stamp parliament, as some people will be eager to describe us as a parliament. So I just want to say that we believe that we have done what we did in the last 6 months in overriding public interest, and we are willing to do more. It's about our midterm in office at the 10th Senate. And we are focused as to what we are going to spend the rest of our time here doing. We are concerned about the national security of our country. And that's why listening to the Honorable Minister of Defense yesterday, describing as unnecessary our resolution to hold a national security summit, I thought that was funny. And my own message to the Honorable Minister is that it is our resolve, National Security Summit. I can now some of the security summits in the past did not go any far, because if the Honorable Minister in charge would even think it was not necessary for us as elected representatives of the to want to hold this summit, then I'm concerned. But we are consoled by the fact that we know that there is a new sheriff in town, an elected president, who understands the need to work with the parliament and who will not take for granted the rest of the parliament. I therefore say to the Honorable Minister, when it is time to hold that national security summit, stakeholders, and he should be eager to honor our invitation. And finally, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, let me just say that we remain focused. Having passed the tax reforms, we are moving on to work on electoral reforms. And we are moving on as well to work on constitutional reforms. We are very clear as to our mandate and our agenda, and we will remain undetracted and not allow any form of negative attitude or deliberation, which in most politically motivated rather than being in overriding public distractors. We will continue to do what we have to do in the interest of the Nigerian people who elected us here, and we are not going to allow anything, not even us, distracting ourselves. We will come in here as serious people who understand our rules, who will guide ourselves by those rules, who know that we are privileged to be. The Senate is an institution and is bigger than any individual. I thank you once again on behalf of all of us. I'm sure you know, sir, that those who felt that by now this Senate would have asked you to step down have seen now that we are focused on what we are doing, and whatever the level of allegation against you, any one of us, we will always ask for evidence, and we will do what is in overriding public interest. I just want to thank you, and I thank all our colleagues.
Answered you. But for the fact that you said those who would have asked you to step down, who told you I was going to step down? You know, if you watch the color in America, there are some black people because of their skins who went to prison. Sometimes 25 years for false allegations. So I'm not one of those people who will step down for false. Then when eventually it is proven that the allegation, they will say, oh, we were unfair to Akpabio. No, I'm not that bad. So if you had that in mind, please cancel it. So having said that, I must thank you for the words that you have spoken today. But I also know that in the course of your speech, you did not indict, but you reported the Honorable Minister of Defense to. I think the Senate will look into that issue. If defense has any or any issue with any resolution of the Senate, it shouldn't do so in the market. It should get in touch with the Senate President or the Senate elders. Senator Ningi, I think I'm speaking your mind. You should get in touch with us, not to go and speak in the open. And it will amount to executive, legislative brouhaha. So we will take that up at the appropriate time. So I thank all my colleagues. I thank you for, I assure you, our best, but most especially the credit goes to the 10th Senate for remaining focus. Accordingly, this Senate is hereby adjourned the 13th day of May 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt.
Everything.